Everyone's favorite Spider-Man is swinging back into theaters this July. We've discovered a ton of fan theories about the newest Peter Parker adventure. Check out these 10 Spider-Man Far From Home theories that are so crazy they might be true.
What just happened?
We cannot wait to see what happens in all the upcoming MCU movies. Avengers Endgame is the last film from the franchise's third phase, and sadly, a lot of our favorite characters will no longer be in the Marvel movies. However, one favorite is definitely returning. Peter Parker, played by Tom Holland, is reprising his role as Spider-Man. The new movie is called Spider-Man Far From Home. It's the first film to be a part of Marvel's Phase 4. We anticipate seeing a lot of new phases over the next several years. Before we dive into the craziest fan theories, let's take a look at what we know. Peter Parker and his best friend Ned are on a school trip in Europe. We know that Peter and MJ's love story will start to develop more. We also know that Ned is dating Betty. You go, Ned. Nick Fury and Maria Hill are returning for this movie. They recruit Peter to fight the elementals. Jake Gyllenhaal has been cast as Mysterio, an old comic book villain. He's got similar powers to Doctor Strange and can manipulate time and reality. We also know that Spider-Man has 2 new suits. One is an inverted black and red version of his previous Stark-made ensemble. The other is a sleek, all-black suit. We also know that Far From Home takes place after Endgame. In fact, it starts just a few minutes after the story from Endgame is over. So we definitely know that Peter survived that Thanos snap. Now let's take a look at some of the hottest fan theories about the new Spider-Man movie.
So nice to finally meet you, Spider-Man.
Infinity Wars never happened. It might seem kind of silly to make a whole movie then decide it never happened, right? Well, Marvel has done crazier things. But how on earth are all these people going to get back? Peter Parker, Nick Fury, and Maria Hill were all snapped away by Thanos in Infinity Wars, but they're all back in Spider-Man Far From Home. In the comics, Nebula and other characters managed to get out of the realm where they all went after disappearing. They trick Thanos out of the Time Stone and go back in time. They keep him from ever completing the gauntlet and winning the war. There are lots of theories about how this could go down in Endgame. But what about Spider-Man? The movie starts immediately after Endgame is over. They all seem really happy and cheerful for just having witnessed the end of half of the universe. Maybe they're all just really happy to be back. But would they really just carry on with a school trip overseas? Half the population of the world disappeared and reappeared. A field trip just seems a little weird. Stark is out, Fury is in. Tony Stark, otherwise known as Iron Man, has been Peter Parker's mentor since Captain America: Civil War. He makes his spider suits. He helps him out of trouble, and he recruits Peter into the Avengers.
You're an Avenger now.
But Stark is noticeably missing from the trailer of Far From Home. Lots of fans think that Tony Stark will not survive the events of Endgame. Poor Peter. His first real father figure might be gone. But Peter is still a teenager and really new to the superhero life. He needs a mentor. Enter Nick Fury. In the trailer, Nick is the one who gives Peter the new spider suits. You can also see Peter presenting a giant check to charity from Stark's organization. But the signature line says, "Pepper Potts, Tony's partner." Why isn't Tony signing his own checks? How will this work if Infinity Wars never really happened? Peter seems really happy despite just losing his idol. We think that Nick will be a great mentor though. He has recruited almost all of the other Avengers. He tells it like it is, but he's way less funny than Stark.
You need to keep both eyes open.
Do you think Nick will be a good mentor for Peter? Dark Spider-Man. In the new trailer, we get a glimpse of Peter's new black spider suit. Sure, it might just be a handy suit for sneaking around at night, but what if it means more than that? This theory might remind you of Spider-Man 3 starring Tobey Maguire, but since it's all the same comic book character, we think there's a chance it might be true. In the Tobey Maguire movie, Peter meets the man who ended his Uncle Ben's life. He gets consumed by the desire for revenge and turns dark. In the MCU, Peter has seen some serious evil. He just witnessed Thanos get rid of half of the universe. He even disappeared. And if Tony Stark really is gone, Peter might be extra angry. What if the dark suit represents Peter's dark side? We know that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is pretty goofy and happy-go-lucky.
What's up, guys? You forget your PIN number? Whoa, you're the Avengers!
But everyone has a dark side. Is Peter going to have to deal with his own internal demons in the new movie? We wouldn't be surprised if that dark suit means a lot more than just stealth. Uncle Ben is back. In the comics and every other Spider-Man movie franchise, Ben Parker is a really important character.
You've been given a gift, Peter. With great power comes great responsibility.
After Peter's parents died, Ben and May took Peter in. They raised him as their own. Peter adored his Uncle Ben. When Ben was attacked by a burglar, he passed away. In the comics, this is what sparked Peter's transformation into Spider-Man. But hardcore Spider-Man fans noticed something huge in the MCU movie. There is no Uncle Ben. Aunt May is raising Peter all by herself. Ben is barely even mentioned. Why did the MCU get rid of such an important character? Well, maybe it's because they plan to bring him back. In the trailer for Far From Home, Peter packs an old suitcase with the initials BFP. Those are his Uncle Ben's initials. If that wasn't important, they probably wouldn't include it in the trailer. We think that Uncle Ben will play a big role in the new movie. Maybe he really isn't alive, but his storyline becomes important. But maybe he is alive. We can't wait to find out more about the MCU's version of Ben. We've got another theory about Uncle Ben, so keep watching to find out. Aunt May gets a love story. The MCU version of Aunt May is totally different than any past versions. For one thing, she's really young. Tony Stark was totally flirting with her in Homecoming. We know Tony and Pepper are soulmates, but we would be lying if we said we didn't ship Stark and Aunt May a little bit.
Peter, you have to tell me what's going on. Just lay it out. It's just me and you.
In the new trailer, we can see that Aunt May is totally supportive of Peter as Spider-Man. She's there when he makes a speech and gives him a high five. And she makes sure he packs his suit for his trip. The trailer also shows an adorably awkward scene with Happy. Happy was Tony Stark's bodyguard. He also helped look after Peter. Happy flirts with Aunt May really badly. He compliments her dress and seems really shy. They may not seem like the most obvious couple, but Aunt May deserves a little happiness with Happy. See what we did there? We totally ship it. We can't wait to see if this love story actually plays out in the movie. Aunt May plus Happy forever. The Elementals are famous villains. We know that Spider-Man Far From Home will feature elementals. These are some sort of creatures that are really destructive. It's not really clear whether they're conscious villains or if they have been made by someone. But we do know that Spider-Man will face creatures made of sand, water, and fire. We also know that Mysterio can fight off the water one. In the comics, Spider-Man has faced some similar villains. They were known as Sandman, Hydro Man, and Molten Man. There's also a really sneaky Easter egg. In the boat scene, there's a boat labeled ASM 212. The comic Amazing Spider-Man featured Hydro Man in number 212. Are we getting to see 3 famous villains all in one movie? That's definitely a step up from fighting just the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. Plus, there's Mysterio. He's another famous Spider-Man villain. In the trailer, he appears to be also fighting the water elemental. There are definitely a ton of things for Peter to fight on his summer vacation. Poor Peter. He just can't catch a break.
Peter Parker here to pick up a passport, please.
It's not Europe. These next 2 theories have to do with Mysterio. In the trailer, Mysterio appears to have similar powers to Doctor Strange. A lot of people think he's Mystic. He has the same green magical shield. In the comics, Mysterio was a stunt and special effects artist who turned villain. He's able to make illusions and impersonate people, even Spider-Man himself. But in the MCU, he looks to have some magical abilities. If he is a mystic like Doctor Strange and Mordo, he would have the ability to alter reality. He also has a cape just like Doctor Strange. He appears to be very powerful. If he can alter reality, he could make Peter think he's on a school trip to Europe. That would be totally mind-blowing, but he could actually be in New York. Mystics can make the world around them look like anything they want. This could be some elaborate trick to defeat Spider-Man. Mysterio is traditionally one of Spider-Man's most challenging enemies. We know Jake Gyllenhaal will do an awesome job as Mysterio. Alternate universe. Messing with time and other dimensions can lead to a lot of trouble, and no one messes with time in reality more than Thanos. We have seen that other realms are possible in the Ant-Man movie. Scott Lang goes into the quantum realm. In the comics, all of Thanos' victims get stuck in the realm of the Soul Stone. What if MCU is totally messing with us? Maybe Far From Home doesn't take place right after Endgame. It's possible that the entire Spider-Man movie is happening in an alternate universe. Perhaps Peter is stuck in the quantum realm. This also means that Mysterio could be the villain in this other world. He might be creating this new reality that looks familiar to Peter, but really, they're trapped in another dimension. Whoa, that would be crazy. We don't know how big of a role Mysterio will play, but a lot of fans think he's creating an alternate reality for Peter. MCU has done really crazy stuff before. We wouldn't put it past them to make this a big alternate universe story. Captain Marvel makes an appearance. Everyone is excited to meet Captain Marvel in her upcoming movie, and we know that she'll make an appearance in Endgame. Marvel has also chosen Captain Marvel to be the face of MCU for Phase 4. It's safe to assume that she's the new leader of whatever heroes are left, so will she be in other Phase 4 movies? We think she might show up in Spider-Man Far From Home, and here's our proof. In the shot with the sand elemental, Nick is seen shooting at the monster. Next to him is a woman, but this doesn't look like his loyal sidekick Maria Hill. This woman is blonde. Unless Maria dyed her hair after Thanos snapped, this woman is definitely not her. Do you know who is blonde? Captain Marvel. We think it would be awesome if she showed up in Spider-Man. Do you think she'll take on the role of Peter's new mentor? We know that she'll be around the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a while. Her appearance hasn't been confirmed yet, but Marvel has kept bigger secrets from us in the past. Mysterio is Uncle Ben. Alright, let's take a look at everything we know so far. Mysterio will be in this movie, and his name suggests he's pretty mysterious.
You don't want any part of this.
There is also the hint that Uncle Ben plays a part in the movie. Whether he's alive or not, we don't know for sure. But what if these two important people are actually the same person? First of all, Mysterio appears to be the same age as Aunt May. Second, he seems pretty nice to Peter in the trailer. He tells Peter that he doesn't want any part of fighting the water elemental. Why does he seem protective of Peter if he's a villain? Also, if he has all these crazy powers, he could easily have made Aunt May believe he was dead. That's really true if he's a mystic. Doctor Strange had to totally leave his life behind to train as a mystic. People thought he was dead. Maybe the same is true for Mysterio. Which of these fan theories do you think are true? What other theories do you have about Spider-Man Far From Home? Sound off in the comments below. Our Spidey senses are telling us that you should subscribe to The Things for more awesome content. We post new videos every day, so hit that notification bell to be the first in line for the latest news. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.